This is Jump, also known as Janked Up Mario Party. It's funny because nothing Mario Party related is in this game. It is a Super Mario World ROM hack made by a group called Jump Team, released on November 16th, 2015 to moderate success. And it only grew in popularity over the years. Upon playing several levels, you'll eventually come across this prompt while dying. This is the first instance of the Modern Retry System, a retry prompt that appears in nearly every Kaizo ROM hack post-2019. This patch went from being an UberASM code to a full-on patch, and then converted back into UberASM through the tool variant. This is Daizu Divan, and today I want to talk about the hack that introduced the Modern Retry System. Before I continue with this topic, I would like to take a minute for today's fake sponsor, Super Mario World ROM Hacking terms. Some of the terminology might be new for you watching this video. Skip ahead to this timestamp if you know a lot of this already. When I talk about a level, any area that's after a pipe or door is considered a sub-level. A patch is code that is applied globally through the entire game. This isn't to be confused with a BPS or IPS patch that converts your game into the ROM hack in question. And UberASM is code that is ran locally in a specific level, sub-level, overworld, or game mode. Note that a patch can also do this. UberASM itself is a patch that allows for UberASM to be possible. ASM is short for assembly, which is a high-level programming language. To provide a couple of examples, you patch new physics or global systems, but you run gimmicks or context-sensitive events through UberASM. Now, UberASM tool is a tool version of the patch that is a lot more organized. Finally, Z3 is an event hosted twice a year on Super Mario World Central, where creators gather together to release anything they deem big for the community. Got it? Cool, now on to the video. So, you might be confused why I'm calling it the Modern Retry System. Surely this was the first ever instance of it? Well, let's briefly look at the history of all the ways that were possible to retry the level way faster. One notable patch that was released a couple years before Jump was something called the Restart from Last Exit patch by Louis. It was posted on July 12, 2014 during Winter C3. This system included both a patch and an UberASM to be applied in a blank game mode. Its most notable use was in my very own 100 Rooms of Enemies. Yes, I'm the hacks creator. You can ask questions later. Despite that project releasing in 2014, 2 days after the patch released, it was June 23rd, 2015, where the patch was utilized, allowing for lives to be used as tokens to restart the current sub-level. There were definitely a few bugs with it. The most notable one, relating to the Yoshi entrance cutscene, where dying were prompted and sent you all the way back to the beginning, if not disabled in the current sub-level. It was also not that fast to restart, to the point where I had to hack it in for the 10th anniversary edition. I made it so you could bypass the death early to utilize the screen faster. Way before the Restart from Last Exit patch is this notable level in VIP and Wall in Alaska Mix 5, where the second Special World level traps you in a cement cage, blasting your way through an engaging auto roller coaster. If you died in this level, well, look at that. A prompt pops in asking if you want to restart from the current checkpoint. Unfortunately, this retry prompt was exclusive to the single level it appears in. I'm assuming the creator of said level didn't intend on releasing it to the public, and as far as I know, no other hack used it despite the resources being available at the time. Please, keep it that way. We don't want to repeat the Elite Koopa incident. At the time, the objectively quickest way of instantly trying again was using a combination of one of the two multiple midway point patches and the No Overworld patch. The latter one was seen in hacks like Super Mario Bros. 2 Dream Courses by Alex No. However, not only did neither option allow the ability to skip the actual falling of the death, but it cuts out the overworld permanently. That leads us to the star of the show, and the brilliant innovations of the true main leader, World Peace, made during this collab. Jump is a hodgepodge of ideas and innovations that had the challenge of actually being released. Most of the development was handled through Skype, and outside members could participate through a website called Ralcow's Talkhouse. Or Talkhouse? Talkhouse? I don't know. As part of the Skype group, I've seen firsthand and even collaborated with World Peace, seeing all the technical marvels being created. We created a handful of levels, particularly this boss fight against a giant Bowser statue of a crown, as well as the hallways of the real final level, Shattered Dreams. A little bit of unrelated trivia, the old name for that level was actually Real Final in lowercase. And now you know exactly why that's the name of RAC's final level, and the song's name accompanying it. It was a little bit before I joined the group, when the Modern Retry System was created. But the idea was, it's a prompt that appears in the hardest sections of the game, acting like a temporary extra checkpoint when enabled. One thing that made this Uber ASM code a tiny bit different to the patch was it was sub-level based rather than level based. So that's why it can appear later in a level that didn't start with it enabled. Multiple midway points were patched in the game as well for convenience sake, but it's a bit rare to see a multi-checkpoint level without retry being present. Jump would receive a few updates throughout 2016, with the final one being released November 10th of that same year. It was 8 months later, on July 2nd, 2017, when the Retry System patch was accepted in the patches section. Through numerous updates and bug fixes, this patch would see its final version accepted on July 1st, 2021. It would only be then that Kevin would step in to release the modern Uber ASM tool Retry System 3 days after during Summer C3 2025. On the 10th of the same month, it would also release in the Resources and Tools Releases subform on Super Mario World Central. With that, history for Super Mario World ROM Hacking was changed forever. One of the most utilized tools in both the standard and Kaizo scene would use either the patch or the Uber ASM tool variant of the Modern Retry System. Mostly the latter, because it's a necessary inclusion in the ROM Hack Races base ROM. It includes all the bells and whistles to start your ROM hack today. However, I'd argue in general, Jump is probably the most influential hack in the 2010s decade, alongside its bigger sequel, ironically titled Jump Half. The quality standard levels were much higher, the gimmicks were more insane, and the difficulty was a lot more balanced. And it doesn't hurt to have a couple cool bosses. Jump design is a term used for levels that segment their challenges in a specific way to have a more iron focus on the point of the level's flow, from using a bat to, not joking, but going to the bathroom to reset a time limit. And lastly to mention, the bootstrap level made by, oh hey, World Peace. If you want a lot of variety while playing a game, these two will scratch that itch. The first jump has some rough patches, but the experience is worth your time. If you want a real brutal challenge, Nonsense has that same zaniness cranked up to 12. It's not made by Jump Team, but it kinda is. Literally most of the members made that hack too. Anyway, that's all for now, my friends. This is Wait, what? What do you mean Jump wasn't the first? Medusa's Lair? Hold up, let's see here. Medusa's Lair SMW. Ah, it came out before Jump, and it features the Modern Retry System. If that's even true. Medusa's Lair is a Kaizo contest entry released on August 7th, 2015. It predates the release of Jump by about 3 months, and appears to be the first finished project to feature the Modern Retry System. Keyword, finished. Yes, let me tell you that it was still made first for the collab that we all know and love. Remember when I said that it was developed for outsiders to participate on the website known as Raoul's Talkhouse? Well, you can still access the original Jump forum that documents a lot of the biggest happenings for the development of the hack. Here you can see that the project started way before Medusa's Lair was even conceived. But that doesn't mean anything, right? The patch could have been made for the Kaizo entry and adapted onto the collab layer in development. Well, let's look at the post with the first Jump Team base ROM that introduces the Modern Retry System. December 8th, 2014, a whole 8 months before Medusa's Lair. The contest in question wasn't opened until July 14th, 2015. So unless we humored the possibility of World Peace developing this entry in the background 7 months before the contest began, yeah, no, Jump is still the first. You could play the December 8th, 2014 base ROM to try or even use the Uber ASM code months before the first finished Super Mario World hack that uses it. But the title of the video isn't called which hack uses Modern Retry first. It's the fact that this hack introduced the Modern Retry System. This is Daisy Divan, and it's never a goodbye. It is always a see you later. Take care, everybody.
Finally, we have reached a mileage per hour using human locomotion.